Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy. My guest today is Kim Lundgren of Kim Lundgren Associates. And she has a super cool business role of helping cities and towns and counties. And I don't want to go too far because I said I was going to let Kim do it herself. But I'm very excited about it. I was looking at the website and seeing all the places that you've helped out in the sustainability field. So Kim, thank you so much for being here. I'm really thrilled to hear more about this.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate you inviting me to join today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So your business, so you are the founder and CEO of Kim Lundgren Associates. Obviously, no one else can take that from you. And this has been around since 2014.
that's right. Yeah, we essentially I've been doing this work for over 25 years, but I started KLA. I took a break between some jobs, and I'm like, this is the time I'm going to start my own thing. And spent a summer overthinking everything and thinking, what do I do? Trying to write a business plan. But then finally, an RFP, a request for proposals, came out from the city of San Antonio, Texas, actually. I knew their sustainability director because I'd worked with him before and helped him grow his office previously in the city of Albany, New York. And so I reached out to him just to see what was going on. And he's like, we've got this RFP coming out. And so I saw it, I read it, and I'm like, it was for their sustainability plan. It was everything I had done: greenhouse gas inventories, climate vulnerability assessment, community engagement, communications, like building a sustainability plan and bringing everyone along for the ride. And I was like, okay, you know what? That's it. I'm going after this opportunity. I'm starting my company to go after this opportunity. So that's why there's no creativity in the name of the company. Like, I didn't have time for that. I had to get a website up. I had to
Right.
become a real company, get the insurances, like do all the things. Plus, I had to get a team together and do the proposal for the city. And of course, they gave us like 2 weeks over Thanksgiving kind of a thing. So, yeah.
That's amazing, though, that you had a gig so quick.
I mean, yeah, we won. It was great. I just decided like this is what I'm going after, and we won it. And not just because I knew the sustainability director. We had an in-person interview, and there were other folks who had to say yes to us. But yeah, it was great, and I'm very proud to say that San Antonio is still a client today. So KLA, we go by KLA.
I love that. I was just thinking about that. It was like, um, I'm assuming that we're similar in age, and all I can think when you said KLA, I was like, remember that song KLF?
Totally. I'm like, one day I'll walk out onto stage to that plant. KLA is gonna rock you. You can dub that
Uh-huh,
music in the back.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
It's hysterical.
All right. If you guys are younger than we are, look it up. I think it's called the KLF, right?
Something like that.
Anyway, that's super fun, and I'm so glad that you get that. Um, so what exactly is it that KLA does?
So KLA partners with local governments to build their capacity to take on the climate crisis. So our mission is essentially to elevate action to match the urgency of the climate crisis. So I said I've been doing this work for 25 years. What's been interesting in that time is this, you know, industry, if you will, of climate planning, which didn't exist really 25 years ago, has had to evolve with the urgency of the climate crisis. Now, do I think everybody in the market has? No, not really. But for myself, having written my first climate action plan, I worked for the city of Medford, Massachusetts, where Tufts University is, if folks want to get an idea, about 5 miles outside of Boston. And I was working for them. They hired me as a consultant to write their climate action plan. Now, this is because they were following a program of ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability. At the time, it was called Cities for Climate Protection. ICLEI was founded in 1990. So there were a little spattering of folks starting to talk about this at the local level that far back. It wasn't really until later in the 90s and early 2000s. Now I'm really dating myself, that it started to become more of a movement. And so back then, Medford had worked with ICLEI with an intern from my program at Tufts. So I was in graduate school at Tufts Urban Environmental Policy and Planning program.
Oh,
And they had gone through, Medford had hired an intern through a grant from ICLEI, kind of set up a bunch of cities to have these. And so the intern had done a greenhouse gas inventory and set a reduction target for the city of Medford. Well, just by total coincidence or not, I think the universe kind of aligned this path.
totally.
But the person who did the inventory for Medford was from my program at Tufts. And she had finished, and she I think went on to work at ICLEI, funny enough, because then I did the same thing. But so I just happened to, I was still working at my old company. I had studied environmental science as an undergrad, and I did work in hazardous waste for a few years before going back to graduate school. But I still needed money or whatnot. So I was, doing some hours there. And I came into my advisor's, Julian Adjaman, for anyone who knows him, came into my advisor's office, and I'm like, I am so tired of working in hazardous waste. I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, oh, that's so funny. I just got off the phone with someone, this woman, Allison, who had been the intern. She told him Medford needs someone to write their climate action plan. Right. So now
Bedford,
going
where you were?
grounded here, right? Like this is fall of 2000.
Right.
I'm like, great, no problem.
That's amazing
I don't
timing.
know what a climate action plan is in 2000. I have no idea.
For real.
But I just called the city. I heard you're looking for someone to write a climate action plan. And they're like, yes, come on in. I thought they had like a job posted or something. Nope. This woman, Allison, just knew that if she didn't get someone to just go over there and tell them that they're doing it, that they wouldn't do it or something. So I went over there thinking they were looking for someone actually, but instead I reminded them that they had to finish this process that they started. And so I was hired on the spot to write their climate action plan.
So cool. Oh my gosh. So tell me what this is, what it looks like for a municipal government.
Yeah, to work with us. Sure. Because there's so much and I get really excited about it. But
I love that you still do.
yeah, well, you have to, right? Like this is a lot of work. It's really hard to do this work. And I've heard now that there's therapists for people who work in the climate space because it's so heavy. I mean, to
Yeah,
literally feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, that is the feeling.
100%.
And that is no joke. That's real. So for me though, knowing what I know, having been in my client's shoes was an important start for me. That's how I learn. I kind of learn by doing. And from that job in Medford to the job I then had at ICLEI, to the job I then had at VHB, which is an engineering firm, to KLA now, every one of those positions I created. It was a brand new position. And so it wasn't as much of a stretch for me to come and start KLA because this is what I do. I'm a creator. Give me a blank slate and I will turn it into something.
That's
And
amazing.
so that mentality lends itself, I think, well to this space because I'm constantly evolving and adjusting as I go. And as I said earlier, I really feel like this industry needs that because what we needed to do for climate change in 2002 is not even remotely close to what we need to do now. And what we know now is different. And so what KLA has been known for over the years, folks know us to do all their technical analysis work, the GHG inventories, the climate vulnerability assessments. They know us for our planning processes. We are renowned for our facilitation expertise to bring lots of different people to the table and get to some level of consensus. I say some level because I think getting true consensus on most things is not something you can do overnight or quickly. But building trust, and we have really the privilege of having helped several of our largest clients achieve their most inclusive planning processes ever. So we brought more different people to the table through a climate action plan than they had through like their comp plan or master plan. So that's something we're super, super proud of. So then to get to your question, that's kind of what folks know us as. But then what it really is
Yeah.
is we really help them try to do this easy. The expectations and responsibilities on local government staff now, even since I left local government 20 years ago, like it has become astronomically more. I mean, just think about COVID. Everything with COVID was at the local level. Yeah, sure, they're getting help, but they're at the local level, like, how do we help our people? And they mobilized for that. There's so much more on them when you think about everything related to AI and how to service your customers better. Like, there's just so many things, and there's fewer and fewer people going into local government work.
Oh,
They
interesting.
can't pay as much as, the big companies that are now firing everybody and replacing them with robots. But, maybe everyone should come back to government. Local government's still great. So we help them with everything. Like, for example, Clark County, Nevada, we worked with them from the beginning. They're like a huge case study for us. This is Southern Nevada, where Las Vegas is.
Okay.
We started working with them in 2020, like September of 2020. They wanted to do a government operations plan first, and then we were going to do more. And so that's what we started with, just looking at their operations. Then we moved into all the regional assessments, the regional inventories, the vulnerability assessment, the community-wide plan. Then we stayed on to help them implement that plan. We helped build their office. So I helped recruit the staff that are in that Office of Sustainability. I trained them. We did their LinkedIn recruiting. I interviewed these folks. We put their work plans together.
Wow.
We connect them with resources, grants, writing, and whatnot, but they also know how to prioritize this as they're, using their own funding, because that's what they prefer to do there. And frankly, as many communities that can do that, you do have to prioritize this work. So, I mean, it's everything you think of, from the technical work and the community engagement to so much more of like office work plans and really making sure they're moving the needle.
Okay. And so it's organization, like what needs to be done and how can we work this out and how can we get the best bang for our buck, basically, for transforming, is that the right word?
Yeah, I
Transforming
think
our
so.
community into a more eco-friendly place.
Well, and I would even say less of it being an eco-friendly place, but more of it being a place where everyone can thrive. And
Okay. I
and
like that better.
yeah, well, so I'm a big fan because I've been doing this work so long. Like when you start doing the work when no one knows what it is, communication becomes really, really important.
Yeah.
And because I kind of, I guess, grew up professionally in this space so much longer ago, like, or as it was growing, I have a different perspective on so many things, like the federal government. I mean, listen, they shouldn't take the money away, but if anyone thought that's the kind of money we were getting from the federal government, that we all knew that was a blip. That was, let's just take advantage. But we shouldn't be dependent on grant money to do this kind of work that protects where we live and what we love, right? And so thinking about it from a communication standpoint, I think we've got to a place where everybody feels like everyone has to do it because it's the right thing to do, because climate change is a real problem.
Mhm.
My perspective is, yeah, I totally agree with that. And I don't feel like I need to call it something that's going to turn people off, because
Mhm.
I don't care if they do it for climate or if they just do it because a heat pump is more efficient, or I like driving an EV. I don't care how we get them there. It's the outcome I'm paying attention to. And I think we've spent probably too much time in this space being so focused on outputs. Like, you have to do a greenhouse gas inventory. You know what? No, you don't. I'm going to tell you right now, I've made a lot of money doing greenhouse gas inventories. I wouldn't do one right now. Even if
Right.
you're a community that's never done one, don't do one right now. You don't
It's
need
less
to.
important than the practices, isn't it?
That's right. Because we know where your emissions are. If you're
Right.
in the United States, it's buildings and transportation. I can tell you that. I don't have to look at any of your information. That's where your emissions are, predominantly,
Sure.
the vast majority. And so if we want to make any attempt to come even close to hitting those 2030 reduction targets that so many of us have, then we should just start acting. So I would argue not only do they not need a greenhouse gas inventory, they don't need a climate action plan. Just go do these things. Go do these things that reduce emissions. Because the other thing that people forget, like I was trying to like prep for this session. I know you're like, no, we don't need to prep. But I was like, I should probably just, I'm not as up to speed on everything in Maine as I used to be. And so let me just see where everything's going. And I'm looking at the annual report for Maine Won't Wait, the climate plan. And I'm like, this can't be the newest one.
Okay.
So what is my point there? Greenhouse gases are a lagging indicator. So if we want to reduce emissions, we should focus on things that reduce them and count those things rather than wait. Because by the time we do our greenhouse gas inventory, we're already a year and a half to 2 years after the fact. So yeah, you missed it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to be able to keep tabs on that you're heading in the right direction? That's what we're trying to get communities to focus on now. So
Uh-huh.
yes, the planning is important. Yes, of course you want to do some analysis work, but you don't have to do it right now
It doesn't have
because
to be
it's buildings
first.
and transportation. Let's focus on that. And those are things you can track. You can track how many new folks install heat pumps in your community, right? You can get that information. Efficiency Maine can tell you how many rebates they've put out from your town, right? Then you can see, oh, well, that's good because we did this outreach effort and I used this campaign URL that tells me exactly, oh, I sent a postcard. We know who came to that website from this
From the
postcard.
postcard. Oh,
Now we know what's working to
okay.
bring people to the table, right? So it's so much right now, I feel, is a marketing campaign to the right people, which is how marketing works. The right message to the right people at the right time. And we haven't
Gotcha.
really done that in the climate space much before.
Okay. Uh, this is so fascinating, and I love that you sort of started out. You said you started out with like a clean slate because it was not being done before. So I imagine you have a really the fact that you're really excited about it, even still, probably stems from that. Like you have to be excited to excite other people and let them know how important this is. And so I think that's so fascinating to me. And so I am curious about, um, I've always wondered about, excuse me, the rebates for like Efficiency Maine and such. Like where does that, is that state money? Is that government money?
I think the efficiency main money should be a combination of utility. So you guys, everyone pays into the utility for like efficiency programs. But then I also want to say, and I'm sure someone can fact check this, I'm not 100% sure. I could probably Google it quickly here, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of Efficiency's Maine's programs were covered by the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. I know the Community Partnership Program is, the
Okay.
Community Resiliency Partnership.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Oh my goodness. And then, so I just read a post today about, and this is just like, this is me tangenting, but I saw that there's a city in Texas that has, no, Texas has more green energy
Yes,
than anywhere else, and it's
correct.
not because of the cause, but because it's cheaper.
That's right.
And I just thought that was interesting because I think of Texas as like oil fields.
Yeah, they have more wind energy than anybody in the United
Yes.
States.
Yeah,
Yes, they do.
yeah. And
Oh, yeah,
open
it's a
space
big
for like
industry there,
solar.
and they have a huge I think they're the number 1 for solar and wind.
Yeah. I actually went to a windmill museum in Texas,
Oh, interesting.
but it was more like historical, not so much
Yeah.
current. Um, but so that's, I mean, I just think this is interesting. And so how many people are there? There must be more people, like other people doing this. I mean, you've worked all across the country with different cities. But there must be other people doing this, I
Well, there
assume.
are plenty of other firms that provide, like, the climate action planning services, and there's some really great ones. I think where KLA is different is, and because we're small and we're nimble and we're able to say, well, I mean, we're basically where I landed at the end of last year. And I'd kind of been there for a bit, but it took me a minute to communicate it and figure out what I was going to do about it. But it's been nagging on me for the last several years that as much as we have improved and evolved in this space, I think the climate action plans we're putting out now are solid. I mean, not just ours either. There are other firms that do, not everybody, but there are plenty of other firms that do really quality work, good analysis, bring good groups of people together. They're doing reasonably good community engagement. Our city staff and town staff, they're implementing their plans. So it's like everything has improved except reducing emissions.
Okay.
So again, people who are focused on outputs and money are like, well, we're just going to keep selling greenhouse gas inventories and climate action plans because that's just their model. For me, I start getting anxiety and stress about this. I'm like, well, these plans aren't reducing emissions. This is what they're supposed to do. And they're not making us more resilient either, right? So we have to do something different. And I took some time at the end of last year to like sit down and just have some mental space to figure out like is it that we do differently.
Hmm.
And I created, to your point, I get excited creating. So I created a new program at KLA called Action Ready. And it is essentially that targeted marketing campaign where we work with the assessors database, which every town has. Here is your building stock. And we have other databases we can use, some of which are federal and still have been available. Others have databases that we've downloaded. And understanding that, okay, this neighborhood or these couple of neighborhoods, all of the houses are this age. Their heating and cooling system is probably about to go. Right. So I learned this the hard way as a homeowner. I didn't know. We had just gotten married. Yeah, we'll buy a house. And then, right around year 12, every
Everything
appliance was like
broke.
bing, bing, like there goes the water heater. Now it's this. And you're like, what the heck is going on? I didn't know. So I can appreciate that not everyone knows how long their furnace should live.
Right.
And so so what we started doing was we sent a post. So I've done this in a few communities and we have results. It actually started with the town I went to high school in, actually, Danvers, Massachusetts. They're a municipal utility. When they hired us to write their climate action plan, I'm like, hey, do you mind if we implement a plan that I know is going to be in the plan? And I want to start seeing if we can get some action going here. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. But I wanted to work with them because I knew I could get the data really fast as opposed to having to work through an
Sure,
investment.
because you know the people.
Right. So we put out, it was just, again, we did the analysis. We now have a tool for this. My team created a tool where we can help you pick, okay, where are the houses? If we can find a cluster in a neighborhood, we want to do it because it's like solar. One neighbor, one puts it up and then the next and then the next and the next. But heat pumps aren't as visible. So we have to find a different way to engage, but we're trying to use that same intervention of the neighborhood
Right.
activation. And so all we did was identify these homes, sent a postcard that simply said, your home may be due for an upgrade. You should know that an electric heat pump is the most efficient way to heat and cool your house. That's it. And here are some rebates and information. If you want to learn more, go to this landing page. That's all we did. There's no climate message at all.
Right.
It was more informational.
So it wasn't
And
like, we know that so and so in your neighborhood already has that. You might want to, maybe chat with them or something like that.
so that comes later. The way
Oh,
we set the way this campaign is designed is that you're reaching out to what should be kind of considered almost like strangers, right? Because what every community struggles with, and I have heard this across the country, it's the same 20 people that come to everything.
yeah.
Not everybody's unless there's some big uproar and it's something everybody's angry about. Then you
Right.
can get more people. But for the most part, it's the same 20 people coming to everything.
Sure.
And that is challenging for local governments, which is why my earlier thing of us creating those inclusive processes is so important. It fits in with this model. So we bring these folks, we introduce them to just a problem they may not even know they have. First, because they have to feel it's a problem before they're going to take action.
Right. Right.
And so we focus on them. By the way, we don't just look at the age of home. We also look at the income of the neighborhood. We're not going to hit up the low income neighbors to, hey, go get yourself a heat pump. That's not what we're doing here. But there's a huge audience in most communities that can afford and will save the money to make sure they're not without heat in the winter, right? So it might not be easy, but so you want to get that group of folks like 1 to 2 years before they're about to do it. Because
Well,
if they don't start their journey at that point and an emergency situation comes up, they're not going to switch in an emergency. That's
right.
not.
Right. Right.
So you want to get them in advance. So, the thing with this campaign is you put it out and then you have to wait a couple of years, a year at least, to see the uptick. And so to be honest, I kind of forgot that we had done this. And then we continued working with Danvers, and I ended up at one of the events, and I was like, "Hey, whatever happened with that campaign?" And they're like, "Oh, we 3x'd our heat pump rebate participation."
Oh,
And I was like, "You did? How am I just hearing about this?" And so that was the impetus for me to build
to
this
track.
program.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening, right? We feel overwhelmed by our climate action plans. The squeaky wheel, maybe someone in the community wants to see this community garden and it's all we're doing, but guess what? There's zero climate benefit coming from that. There's other benefits, there's no doubt about that, but not climate.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, unless you're, yeah, no, not a community garden. You wouldn't use it for rainwater or stormwater. So it's getting them focused on where the emissions are, right? So if we need to be super targeted, a lot of them will spend a lot of time doing great things in their municipal operations. Awesome. Great. And you're 1% of the emissions. So even if your government operations is net zero, no community is going to meet their targets, even with a net zero municipal government.
Right.
And so that's the disconnect. I get that you can control this, but you have to leverage the influence you have in your community. And some folks will say, well, I don't want to tell our residents what to do. You're not. You're not telling your residents what to do. You're letting them know that they might be due for an upgrade for their heating system. And they might want to look into the most efficient options because utility bills are continuously on the rise. That's all. That's actually helping them. I can't tell because we also do we'll go door knocking and go into these neighborhoods. Just like me, a lot of people, they have no idea how old their heating system is.
Right.
And they did not know that it has a shelf life, 12 to 20 years. And most of them start dying about 15. So if we target folks correctly, now that's a totally different thing, a totally different story, right? It's one thing to say, we have to all electrify and put in heat pumps. Well, I mean, if you go a full house, you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars. That's just not something someone's going to do tomorrow. Same thing with electric cars. Same thing with solar. Those are tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
We're not going to just go do that. But if you catch somebody who's already about to spend tens of thousands of dollars,
Right.
well, now it's a totally different story. Now it's a different ask.
Right. Yeah. If they need to update to something, why not go more efficient and green? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's interesting. Um, I think the timeline is very interesting because after I said, you're not going to say, one of your neighbors already has this if you want to check in with them. That might be might come off a little creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know everything about you.
At that
Um,
point, yes.
yes.
So that first ask is simply, here's a QR code to go to this landing page and learn more. And we have a calculator on this so they could see how much they would save. There's some facts, myth busting.
Yeah.
So it's always a short, easy ask at first. Then once we've seen that maybe they've now signed up to learn more, or I'm going to register for this event or this webinar. Okay, now they've got interest. So now the hook has worked. We've brought them in, and now it's an opportunity to make an ask that's bigger.
Gotcha. Okay. And so I know you said like vehicles and buildings are like the big emissions, right?
Yeah.
Did I remember that right? I remember
Uh,
buildings.
Transportation and building.
Transportation. Okay. Is that's your main focus?
With the Action Ready program, it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Okay. And so what are do you, I'm sure it's different for each city, town. I am going to get this wrong every time, but like every municipality, I guess. Um the plan is different, I assume. I mean, if it's a bigger, or is it not?
It's not that
It's
different.
pretty much the same. Okay, that's really interesting.
Well, there's only so many ways to reduce emissions. And so it really doesn't matter if you're a large city or a small rural town.
Okay,
You are burning fossil fuels that creates emissions.
got it.
And so the specifics and the scale will change,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, we're mostly all heating and cooling and powering the same way.
Okay, and so what are uh I mean, as far as emissions, you're talking about like going, green, renewable energy. And what are the other things that you look at or suggest to areas?
So from so working with the local governments, the cities or the towns, we are going to help them find their pathway to the most efficient emissions reductions. And so we're going to help them figure out what things need to be integrated into their operations, not just to reduce emissions in their operations, but how they service the community and how they connect with the community to move those emissions.
Right.
Right. So we always want something to integrate with something they're already doing rather than creating a new task, because that's too much. And then that doesn't happen. So we bring the folks together early on, but so examples are going to be, yeah, well, first off, you can, for new development, right? Like you want to stop the bleeding. So new construction should have more restrictions and requirements. Some communities are not as excited about doing that as others. Um, for me, it really comes at how confident are you that your community has a lot to offer? I feel like, I
Right.
mean, I've even had some great, Las Vegas even say, well, if we do that, they'll go somewhere else. I'm like, you're Las Vegas. Where are they going? You're Las Vegas. Like, where they are not
You
going
think
somewhere else.
they don't know that? They don't
Right.
know they're in Las Vegas?
Well, and just the fact that, like, why don't you have the confidence that your city exudes with its name and brand?
Right. People are there by choice.
People are there by choice and they know exactly what they're going to get in Vegas and in Nevada for that matter.
Right.
And so, but it's interesting because that's kind of the thing. Well, everyone's going to go build somewhere else. It's like,
Are they?
and still get all the amenities that you delivered here? Really? Hmm, I
Yeah.
don't think so. I mean, they argue Salt Lake City, but
Right.
that's a huge distance from Las Vegas.
Right. Well, I mean, I what I love there are so many things that I loved about this, but one of you had said that you don't want this to just be about a greener, like, I was saying, to make
Yeah,
it more eco-friendly, and you said
eco-friendly.
not
Yeah,
even just that, like I want people to thrive. And so I mean, emissions, I that makes sense, yes, but there's so much more to that. Like I feel like
that's right.
you had mentioned community gardens, and I mean, do you encourage people planting trees and stuff like that also?
Yeah, I mean, they should. That should be the fact that that has to even come into a climate action plan is kind of crazy, right? Like trees
Yes,
offer so many benefits.
absolutely.
I think a lot of folks kind of put their hopes a little too much on trees soaking up all the emissions from fossil fuels. That's not going to happen, but there's a million other reasons to put trees up, including, yeah, if you plant it in the right place, you could actually cool down your building and then you don't need to use as much power to run the AC,
Right.
and you're keeping it warm in the winter too, like the protection.
That
You all forget
insulation. Yeah.
about the habitat that you're getting for animals, the mental health benefits associated with green space. Like trees are awesome. And there's a million reasons to do it. But yes, certainly when you're looking at climate hazards and impacts, you want to cool down a neighborhood, you put greenery in there, and it is amazing how fast it turns around. And I have a quick little tangential story, but while I was in the city of Medford, of course, they ended up hiring me. I started as a contractor. They hired me. They created a new position
So
in office for me. But I got added way more tasks than just doing climate work. I had to do I was the conservation commissioner. Or the agent for the conservation commission. I had to do all the wetland stuff. And at one point, I won't get into the long story, but basically we had to rebuild a wetland. And so we did the RFP, brought the folks in, and I had to keep tabs on it the whole time. And I will tell you, I was amazed. It's literally like for wildlife, it's literally if you build it, they will come. I'm like, how did they know to come here?
For
This
real.
isn't where it was before. Like
Right.
before you know it, there's tadpoles everywhere. Like the animals just come back to the space
That's
that we
amazing.
beautified for them. And, that for me, I just like, how did they know to do that? It's just that one sticks with me. And so I think about that. And I think about during COVID, how quickly our emissions went down, how clear the skies became, how much, different parts of the country or world for that matter had started like getting things back. Like I've got these images. I'm a climate reality leader with Al Gore's program there. And so we have all the slideshows and we got to see like there were some parts of, I want to say Nepal maybe that like literally never see Mount Everest. They don't ever get to see it. It's always
Oh,
hazy and
okay.
cloudy, and they were seeing clear skies and, just a lot of things like that when you think about how amazing nature is to just come back.
I didn't think about that part when it came to COVID because no one was going to work. There were less vehicles on the road. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
interesting.
No one
Okay.
was flying for a bit there. Like there was nothing going on.
Right. I mean, I was just thinking, when I think about it, I think about the people that are stuck at home and so they start gardening and cooking and stuff more. And I
Okay.
did
Yeah.
not even consider the fact that they weren't even leaving their house and not using vehicles. People wanted to go out and get walks in.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
that's I yes, I agree completely about the trees. Like, people should not need an excuse or to be encouraged to plant trees. But I think that, with temperatures rising and stuff, people are starting to freak out
Yeah.
and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and that's what people tend to forget. And that's why I'm really and I say this to so many people. There's a number of things I say all the time. One is stop referring it. Actually, I just had an article in Authority magazine on this. Stop calling it the environmental movement. Stop making this a kind of marginalized topic when it's literally the core of everything that humans are involved with. It's your
right.
public health. It is your safety. It is your economic driver. Like most of our economy historically has been resource driven. That's kind of why we're in the situation we're in,
That's why we're
right?
here. Right.
And so we wouldn't even have an economy if it wasn't for all of these amazing resources. And what I find so interesting and I forget where this one was, but we were talking. Oh, it was another interview I did recently where they were looking for innovative resilience actions. And I'm like, you know what these innovative actions are? Green infrastructure, which, you know what, that's a fancy way of saying just put it back the way it was. Mother
Right.
Nature did it right. I don't know why we keep thinking we're going to
Stop
engineer ways
taking,
out of
start
this.
giving. Yeah.
Just fix it.
Right.
You'd be amazed. I don't think people truly realize how our environment, trees, flowers, plants, soil, how they protect us in so many ways from weather related hazards. And now that we have so many more of them, that's a big change since I started doing this work. The urgency of the climate change has just continued to grow. And so we have to just keep being smarter and wiser. But the path back, in my opinion, is very much back to nature,
Hmm.
back to the things that we truly thrive on. And if you think about it, I mean, where was I? I was up in Newburyport, Massachusetts the other day for it was a gorgeous day this weekend. And they have a huge like public park right on the water. There's shade trees, there's benches, there's grass. Go have a picnic. There's a volleyball court. We were talking about volleyball. Like, and I just said to my friends, I'm like, do you see how this is a welcoming space?
Right.
Do you see how people want to be? You don't, I mean, yeah, be nice. Some people have the big yachts there, but for the rest of us, we still get to enjoy this is public space.
Right.
You enjoy it. And the city makes sure that it's beautiful, it's comfortable, it's accommodating, accessible, and it's right by their downtown, which
Right.
is the cutest thing. like so many cute New England towns, you've got the cobblestone streets, you've got the old cute buildings and a bunch of little shops that aren't, the usual. It's not Target. You've got mom and pop shops, people who are local own those things and are running it. That is sustainability,
Right.
right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's so interesting how spaces like that place in Newburyport that you're talking about, when you go there, you sit down on a bench or you sit down on the ground and you just like you can just like breathe easy and you feel that.
I
Like
do.
seriously, you can feel that difference. And if we just pay attention to how that feels, like what are you feeling right now? And like do more of that.
Yeah.
Do more of that. Create that wherever you are. For that feeling, but also to say to save your area. Um, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Kim, but I am very curious. Like, how did you? So you've been doing this for 25 years, 25-ish years.
Yeah.
How did you choose this? Oh, you said your degree was
Environmental science.
environmental science, and did you have any other thoughts when you were doing that? Like, did you go into college with an environmental science degree? Like, I'm gonna save
Yes.
these cities.
No, definitely not about the cities. So I am really, I feel like I just answer this question honestly. I always feel like somebody's looking for some, like, how will I know when I'm at? I, I just followed. I mean, I honestly just flowed with the universe where it was taking me. And so, I did it when I started my company. I did like went through like a branding process after I got the San Antonio
Right.
project and got through
Yeah,
that. I'm
yeah.
like, okay, let's do a branding. Um, and the woman made me like really think like, what is your story? How did you get here? And I went through a couple what I thought was my story, and she's like, further back, further back, further back, and I'm like, so I kept thinking because I didn't really grow up in a family that was like in love with nature. I didn't go on hikes. I lived on a main street. I was in a city, and we played in the driveway, kind of a thing. Um, but I had been reading Scholastic News. You may be familiar with
Yeah.
that awesome read. And probably right below the article about latchkey kids, which I was like, oh, that was the first time I got a label.
Right.
Or I guess the first one was child of divorce was probably my first label. I'm like, oh, I'm a latchkey kid. But below that, I read about the baby seals in the Arctic getting clubbed for their pelts. And
That
I
was
just
it.
lost
Yeah.
it. And I'm like 7 years old at the time. And somehow that thread, I guess, stayed with me. I mean, my mom will tell the story. She's like, I don't even know what to do. You came home so angry. Like, I'm going to the Arctic. I'm going to kill those poachers. Me and the polar bears
I'm
will
gonna
get them.
save them myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was that love of wildlife really that started it. And then, so once I knew I could study environmental science, like I didn't even know that was an option really. Like my sister studied business. So I just thought, oh, I was going to go to school for accounting, which is hysterical now
Well,
because
I mean, just like
it is
everyone, we were encouraged when we were going to college. Like you want a business degree or you want to be a lawyer or a doctor. Like you did
those
not
were the
have a ton
things.
of options, at least going in.
Yeah. And I had no one in my family or close to me that I could get guidance on this from. So I was just like, once I don't know, it was like, I have to do this. And then I did it. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do. But I'll tell you, I did go back when I was in graduate school. I went back to look at my books from undergrad. And do you know the only thing about climate change? Now, this is 1993. I started school, college, undergrad. In 1997 was the Kyoto Protocol. So we already had an international treaty. When I was graduating college as an environmental scientist, we had an international treaty on greenhouse gas emissions. I didn't know about that.
Same.
And when I went back, we had one paragraph in my introduction to environmental science, first semester freshman year. That's it. We never came back to it. So no, I definitely didn't know what I was doing because it wasn't even really a thing yet.
Mhm.
And even choosing, once I decided I was going to go to school for environmental science, that like whittled down the options real fast. Because in 1993, there were not that many programs. And
Right,
so I ended up, they started to have more and more environmental studies programs, but I wanted the science. And I ended up going to UMass Amherst, which their program was very well established and it started in the 60s. And so that's what drove me there to do that. But yeah, then I came out and it was like the jobs are be like a national park ranger, which I would have loved, but it was
right.
like $2 an hour and I would never be able to pay my student loans. Or you go into hazardous waste. And so I went into hazardous waste and it was not enjoyable at all.
Hazardous waste. So okay.
Yeah.
Can you
I like
go into a little bit of detail on that? Like
I
hazardous
literally
waste.
worked on Superfund sites, like taking samples and but mostly I did site assessments, which is the first phase of it. Basically they have a potentially contaminated property. You do a bunch of historical research and we do some initial sampling to see if there's any extent of, and you look into like what kind of industry was in this building. You got to do a lot of research. And so you summarize it, you go through, you get your sample results back, and you're like, yep, this site is contaminated. And then my job was to just hand it back to EPA and
Oh,
not know what happened. And
right.
that didn't work for me. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not
I'm
the
not okay with
problem
that.
child.
I'm following through, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we need a solution. Those people's drinking water is contaminated. What are we doing about it? Like, oh, that's not our job, Kim. Like,
No.
yeah, that doesn't work for
I'm
me.
so much like that. I'm like, no, that's not I need my hands in that because I need to fix it.
Yeah, I don't want to just find the problem, which
Right.
I feel like lots of people actually, especially today, I feel like, oh, it's much easier to just hand that problem off to someone else. And it's
Sure.
like, well, I guess that's just not how I think.
I mean, I personally want to make sure that it's actually like followed through on. Like I want to make
Right.
sure that it's
Absolutely.
taken
I
care
don't have to
of.
do it all, but at least let me
Not like
know
someone
something.
else will do that. No, I want to make sure. I'm
Yeah,
not okay with
exactly.
someone else will do that.
Yeah, we need more people like us that actually care that much. So, yeah, so that's what I did. And that's why I went back to graduate school. And coming full circle, that's why I went into my advisor's room. Like, I hate working in hazardous waste
Yeah.
because it just wasn't satisfying at all. It really wasn't for me.
Well, I mean, you want to make a difference. So, I mean, if
Yeah.
you're working in hazardous waste, you're always going to be dealing with that. Like if
Yeah.
you're
And those
working
sites
in,
like never get clean
yeah.
ever. Like, so
Well,
even I would
especially if
go
no
and
one's
help.
working on the other end to stop it.
Well, right. I mean, there was one place up in Maine that I think has been, it's just like all the soil is Swiss cheese. There are so many borings that have been drilled trying to determine the extent of contamination. So it's all on, well, I don't know if it's still on EPA's website, but yeah. So that was a totally very regulatory space. Which for me, once something's regulatory, then it's like, okay, step by step, this is what you do. And that's when you get people focused on just ticking the box. So for me, I have kind of always been, because that had been my experience, like I'd always been averse to regulation in this space.
Hmm.
And a lot of people are like, are you crazy? We need this. And I'm like,
No.
at the federal level, really? And what is it going to look like exactly? And the thing about climate action is, so fine, let's say we codified something 10 years ago. It would be so outdated and useless at this
Right.
point.
It's obsolete within a year or two for sure.
There's too much right now that's changing and that we don't know. And so we have to allow this to stay in the voluntary space because that's where innovation and creativity come. You don't innovate in regulatory spaces.
Yeah. 100%. Oh my goodness. Uh
And I know we need to get to ideas for people to do things. I've got that too.
yeah. I mean, I just think that I mean there are so many things that you've said that are just so inspiring and I love that there are places in the United States that are open to incorporating new practices and greener practices. I know, and I need to check in with somebody because, like I said, I had moved away for a year and a half. But just before I moved away, my town was going through we were doing a sustainability workshop. And so they had, as many people as were interested come to the room, and they had like huge pads of paper everywhere and saying, how do you feel about wastewater? How do you feel about green
Yeah.
energy? How do you feel about this? And people were like, and it was honestly depressing for me because I was like, yes, all of these things, they would be so great. But, and so people would put like little stickers, like sticky notes on,
Yeah.
like, this is how I feel. Like, people are like, I would love to do this. I can't pay my bills as it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're asking me to do. You want me to take on more
Mhm.
payments? And so that was really frustrating. And I'm really curious to hear how that actually went because I moved away before they finished it. But, but I'm, what is the, I assume that you guys are really busy because now, things are like, we're not just messing around anymore. Like, this is getting hot and things are very expensive. Like, we need to make some changes. So
Yeah.
I assume that you're busy and that's a good thing. But how does somebody, I mean, I'm just thinking like personally, like my town that was going through this whole thing, I feel like this might be something that I might suggest to somebody. Have you heard of Kim Lundgren Associates out of Massachusetts? I bet they don't use notepads.
Well, I wouldn't say I don't use notepads.
Okay,
I'm still a little old school. I like to write things down. It's how you remember them.
of
But
course.
I think, I mean, I feel like I know where you're going with this is like how to inspire local governments to kind of move on this
Yes,
and lead the
please.
way.
That.
And so it's interesting. I think that a big part of it is having the right message for the right person. That's with everything. It's the right message, to the right person.
Yes.
And I can appreciate, though I don't agree with it, but I can appreciate that folks, especially political leaders, aren't willing to maybe take a leap. And, depends where you're in the country for sure. But even now in the Northeast, like we have plenty of communities that are like dialing back a little bit the climate conversation. And my whole thing is like, that's fine as long as it's being replaced by another conversation that leads to the same outcome. Because the problem doesn't go away just because
Right.
someone has kind of just unilaterally decided that this is a politicized issue, which I find
Right.
interesting because I think every political party has lost people to climate
Right. Who's
hazards.
going to pay for this dial back?
Well, exactly. And so that's a huge thing. And so at the end of the day, if a local government's responsibility primarily is to protect its people,
Mhm.
period. Protect the businesses, protect the residents, you're within your boundaries. That's what you're responsible for doing. So even in my time at ICLEI, when I worked all over the country, which I continue to, but like I was deep with a lot of communities, it didn't matter if it was a red state or a purple state. Who cares? At the local level, you don't have the luxury of ignoring an incredible threat to your livelihood
Right.
because of what the letter after your name says for your political party. I mean, so it's been nice to see that and to know that there's so many leaders in throughout this country at the local level. They're like, no, we're taking action on climate. And the climate mayors is a great example of that. You've got
The climate what?
300 climate mayors.
Mayors. Oh, okay.
Yep. So they have all signed up and said, yep, in this day and age, we're doing it. So the way I get people engaged is very simply, what is it they care about? What is your biggest concern? Because fortunately and unfortunately, climate change is going to hit all of them,
Right.
right? So that from a messaging standpoint, it kind of makes it easy to connect to almost anybody. It's super unfortunate that literally everything in our life is going to be touched probably negatively by the impacts of climate change. So that part's not great. But as far as bringing folks into a conversation, it makes it pretty easy,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because everyone's feeling it. Uh, Okay.
That's where the message and the messenger are so key. And
Ooh.
what I have found in a lot of my communities that I work in, they have a group of enthusiastic volunteers who are fantastic. They're doing this stuff. They're trying to push the needle. They're not always the right people to communicate to the rest of the town. And from my experience, it's because they, and rightfully so, they believe this is the biggest issue facing humanity today.
Mhm.
I think that could absolutely be
Easily.
argued,
Yeah.
except that not everybody has the luxury of thinking that way and feeling that way, or they just
Right.
don't know to. And if we don't get people with the right message and the right hook, like we were talking about, like it's got to be that quick hook. Hey, did you know your heating and cooling system might be up for renewal? You don't want to lose it in the dead of winter or summer,
Right.
right? That's getting someone with something they care about. And so
Mhm.
we don't have to, and we shouldn't apply our values to other people, right? You can value whatever you want. Tell me what it is you value. And then I'll tell you if you should care about climate change, because that's really how it goes. But really, I wouldn't even bring in the climate change conversation.
Yeah. So do towns, cities, regions typically reach out to you?
Yeah, we have that. We also, I mean, it's public sector, so we'll bid on RFPs, but we also have our dashboard product. So that's a way that it's a communications platform more than a traditional dashboard, because as much as I love Excel spreadsheets and line graphs and stuff, most people don't. Not only do they not like them, they're intimidated by them and can't read them. And so I'm like, who's this dashboard for that you're putting out here? Because it's super helpful for me as a consultant in this
Right.
space. But
But if no one else knows how to use
for the
it.
general
Yeah.
public. And what I'm noticing is that folks aren't even, I mean, again, to me, this is all like marketing 101, which I didn't take either as an environmental science major, but you'll learn along the way. And it's like they put out these dashboards, these websites, info, landing pages. And I'm like, well, how much traffic are you getting? Where's it coming from? Like, they don't even look at any of that. And I'm like, how do you know if what you're doing is working? You're just waiting 2 years later to do your greenhouse gas inventory? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Gotcha.
Right?
My
So there's a lot
goodness.
of interventions along the way that ensure we achieve the goals. And if you're too focused on just the outputs, like ticking the box and not the outcome, then that's where you land. You land with not having your emissions reduced. You're not achieving the ultimate goals of your climate action work.
Hmm. My goodness. That that is a lot. I mean, you guys do a lot.
We do. Yeah, we do.
That's amazing. So, I mean, I know you had mentioned it, and I had said to you, like, if you have any suggestions for people, um, do you have something that you would?
I do.
Okay.
Always. I always think it's important to practice what you preach, right? So I do it all in my own home, in my own life too. I have areas, everyone gets their vice. Listen, I have a hot tub. I'm going to tell you right there. I do. I have a hot tub. I love my hot tub. I sit in that hot tub almost every day, and it helps me do this work. But I have solar panels. I have an electric heat pump. I have the electric car. Like, so I think people can be allowed vices. I think a lot of times we feel like it's all or nothing, right? And so when folks, there might be folks who are interested and they want to do something. We're like, go get solar panels. And you're like, I can't afford that, or I don't own my home.
Right.
It's a rental. I can't just do that. Okay. So we like to set up a framing called good, better, best, right? The best thing would be if you had solar on your roof, or if you had an electric heat pump or whatnot, whatever the
Right.
area is. Here's what would be better, and here's what good looks like. And you can do good today. You could do good right now. You could participate in a CCA. A lot of communities now have the community. Oh my gosh, I'm having a mental block. Community choice aggregation, where it basically allows you to purchase clean energy. Sometimes it's done directly through the utility, sometimes it's separate. But that allows you to you can pay a little bit more, and you can make sure that money goes to creating more clean energy opportunities. So maybe that's a better, because that's still spending money.
Mhm.
What could you do as a good? You could reduce your energy use. I mean, basic efficiency. Plant that tree on the south side of your house. get your Efficiency Maine or Mass Save or wherever you are, get someone in. Home energy assessments are free in most places. At
Right.
least come and take a look. Reduce how much energy you're consuming in your home, in your vehicle. Reduce your waste. Stop ordering from Amazon, right? Like we don't really need everything immediately, do we? Do we? It's nice to get out of the house every so often and go to the store and support your local business, right? Rather than just the
Right.
huge conglomerates. And so
100%.
what I encourage folks to do is the whole thing with Action Ready, of course, is like, what's the one big thing you can do? Because this is where I get hung up on a lot. Everyone's like, recycle. I'm like, sure. But humans aren't typically good with habits, right? So there are certain like actions I can take that are habit actions. I'm going to have to do this over and over again, maybe multiple times a day, right? I've got to build it as a habit. Recycling, composting, those are definitely habits for me at this point.
Right.
But that's not, I mean, going to the gym every day, stop having wine on the weekends. Those, I haven't been able to break those habits, right? So humans sometimes we struggle with habits. So one big thing, I electrified my home. I added solar panels and a power wall. That's it. It's done. It was a big thing. We did it over years and rolled it into with a home equity line when we did a update, basically built our offices up here. But I prioritized that and I did it. It's a big move. It's one big thing, but it's done. And I was able to do it, right? There
Mm-hmm.
are some people in that bucket. I'm able to do this. I don't want to have to remember something 1,000 times a day because I've got 4 kids or whatever. I'm running around everywhere doing all the things.
Right.
So maybe for those people, it's just one big move. And
Right.
what they have to do now is just plan their journey to that move. Maybe your car's only 8 years old. We don't want you to replace brand new equipment. That's not sustainable. But get it ready for when its life is coming to an end. End of life transitions are the best way to do equipment change outs, cars. Some folks lease anyway. So if you lease, then try out an EV for 2 years. That's, if you can afford a brand new car, you can afford an electric car. That's just a fact right now. I'm even looking for used ones on Carvana because my daughter's about to get her license. I was like, yikes. And I'm like, well, there's no way you're driving a fossil fuel vehicle. What are we, the Flintstones? Yeah, that's not happening. So, but even there, you can find used Teslas on Carvana right now for $25,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so there you go. For
I like
everybody,
that. Pick
there's a good,
one
better,
big.
best. Just plan your path. That's
Yep.
all. You don't have to do it all right now.
Yep.
And
Pick.
you know what? I found the easiest place for me to start outside of the big stuff. The easiest place for me to start was the laundry room. Laundry has so much, aside from the plastic waste, all of just the plastic waste and just how inefficient it all is. So I've moved to I use, of course, the wool dryer balls. I like to put little scented oils on mine, let them soak in before you put them with your clothes on. And
Mm-hmm.
then doing like tablets or liquids that are in aluminum cans or even the cardboard, like old milk boxes. So that for me was an easy place to kind of dip my toes in, like within the house, because it's
Right.
easy and everybody's doing laundry all the time. I feel like I am anyways.
Right.
Right. But people have that and that's accessible. Like it's okay. I mean, it might be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to be saving in other places because those huge things of like Tide and whatever, they're all water.
Right.
It's
Right.
not like you're
Yeah.
getting concentrated.
Right. And just a quick plug for refill stores.
That's actually my goal. So we do have a house in Costa Rica. That's part of our retirement plan, but I
Nice.
want to open a reuse shop down there. That would be one of my goals. So full transparency. So I go through Grove Collaborative. So everything gets delivered to me. I've been like saving all of these bottles. So I have all these little glass bottles of cleaner and my detergent stuff. I'm like, my husband is not loving that I'm keeping these. I'm
All
like,
the
well,
little things.
we're not taking them back. I think they should take them back, but I'll save them
Right.
for my reuse shop.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I just think I remember speaking with Laura from the Go-Go Refill store in Southern Maine, and
Nice.
she had said, if you're doing a refill Their laundry detergent, it's like it comes out to like 11 cents per load. And all
Wow.
you just bring your own, it's super concentrated, and so it doesn't take, it's like a tablespoon per load.
Exactly.
And you can
Just
get it
make
in.
sure everyone in the family knows that. I'm like,
Yep,
"Why are we almost out of
for
this? It's
real.
concentrating."
For real, yeah. But so I love that, and I love that your first hit was the laundry room because it is such a, gosh, those big jugs are a lot.
It's
I
so
actually make my own because when I moved to Virginia, there was not a refill store handy, and so I
mm,
started making my own. It's just a powder, but um, it works fine. And so I just use a mason jar and I keep filling it
I
up,
love that.
and I also use the wool balls. But okay, this is so much. This is
I
so
know.
much, Kim. I'm so grateful for all that you do. It's a lot to keep track of. And I'm so glad that you're doing it. And
Yeah.
I I encourage people to check out the website, follow her on Instagram. I will put all the links in the show notes. But Kim, what does the word sustainability mean to you?
Yes, sustainability. To me, sustainability is about making sure we maintain the balance between what humans need and what our earth can give us. And there is a balance to be had, and it's not a bad place. That's the thing. I think this over consumerism culture just makes us think more and more and more is better, and it's not. Less is more, and you'd rather quality over quantity. And our planet was designed exactly to support our lives the way they need to be. And so if we could balance that more, then I think we have a real shot at what I like to say instead of the opposite is we're not I like to say that we're saving humanity from extinction because we are definitely on deck here for extinction. It's not the planet that we're saving. The planet will probably be way better without humans. In fact, I kind of wish I could be here when it's just not humans because I'm thinking it'd be beautiful and all the animals would be doing their things. Um, so yeah,
Right,
so
because we are
that's
the biggest
the
threat
point.
to life, right? Humans are,
I mean, we are the biggest destructive species for
right?
sure. And yeah, but I feel like when people think, and they've always said that, oh, yeah, even my husband used to say, oh, she's saving the world while I pay for it. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't think I'm saving the planet. It's saving humanity from extinction. And that distinction is actually really important. And I'll tell you, it gets a lot of um, confused looks. They aren't expecting it, but
It's a
to me,
conversation starter.
it is, and it's an important way to have those conversations. Just you gotta start framing things the right way, which again is like if people think just the environment's gonna be destroyed, sadly, they don't correlate that to, oh, I don't know, more cancer in your community, like more people dying. Like, do you know that when the animal species get sick and then what we eat eats that thing, it just gets worse in us. Like science just hasn't unfortunately been taught as well here in the US as it maybe used to be or as in other countries. And so I do think that communication piece is so key. So it's keeping the balance. That's exactly what sustainability is. It's keeping the balance, and there is a right way to do it, and we're not going to fix our way out of everything.
But okay. And then if somebody is interested in this, wants to maybe chat with their municipality or get more information, how can they find you?
Yeah, so KimLundgrenAssociates.com is the website. There's forms to fill out there. You can sign up for our newsletter. I'm mostly on LinkedIn. That's where my network is mostly. So I think it's just Kim Lundgren, Lundgren.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I
Thank you,
so
Amy.
appreciate all that you're doing, and I'm so grateful that you came here to share it.
I really appreciate you having me. It's been such a pleasure meeting you. I feel like we could chat all day.